Thank you, Mr Speaker. And on behalf of the Coalition and the federal opposition, it gives me great pleasure to support the proposed resolution moved by the government. We warmly welcome the establishment of the Joint Select Committee on the Centenary of Parliament in Canberra. Speaker, our history must be remembered. Our history must be protected, and our history and the stories associated with it must be celebrated. And that includes, of course, the history of this great parliament and the old parliament just down the hill. Because in the end, the parliament is the people's house, and the parliament is very much about the history of Australia and the Australian people. And as we've just heard from the Prime Minister, our parliament is absolutely central to our wonderful democracy, the greatest democracy in the world, in my view, and long has been. Speaker, it was in 1927 that the federal parliament moved from Melbourne, where it sat for 26 years. Much better location here, I'm in agreement. It did take up a beautiful sheep station, but it has become a great city. And it came to a provisional building, of course, as we just heard, in the new capital of Canberra. It wasn't very provisional, of course. I'll come back to that. But that building that we now refer to as Old Parliament House was opened on 9th of May that year. And that building would remain the site of the federal parliament for 61 years until 1988, when it moved to this building, of course. During the opening of the first federal parliament in Canberra, the King's message was read, expressing his pride in the new capital city. His son, the Duke of York and future King George VI, was there in person. He captured the aspirational spirit of the Australian people when he said, "One's own life would hardly be worth living without its dreams of better things, and the life of a nation without such dreams of a better and larger future." Prime Minister Stanley Bruce delivered an address in which he said, "May those who enter this open door govern with justice, reason and equal favour of all. May they do so in humility and without self-interest, and may they think and act nationally. May they speak with the voice of those who sent them here, the voice of the people." Speaker, that day, Australian soprano Dame Nellie Melba sang "God Save the King," our national anthem at the time. There was a band. A crowd of about 1,000 people gathered. It was one below expectations, given the shortage of accommodation in the new capital. I think it was largely restricted to tents at that point. Consequently, the overcatered event reportedly saw a large quantity of sergeant's meat pies left over. Legend has it they were disposed of in a pit where the Treasury building now stands. I think the productivity's gone up since then. Sometimes I wonder. RRAAF planes flew overhead. Indeed, the celebration that day was sadly marred by tragedy. Flying Officer Francis Ewan, swept from flying formation, crashed and was killed. Now, Speaker, of course, it was a great moment despite that tragedy. And there will be much to remember and celebrate next year, the centenary of Parliament in Canberra. And I'm sure all in this place look forward to that special sitting of the Parliament in Old Parliament House to commemorate the occasion, and I warmly welcome that opportunity. I feel lucky enough to have sat in the public gallery there in the 1970s with my two grandparents who lived just on the other side of Red Hill at the time in Garran. And I was young and I didn't fully understand what was going on. How could you in this place? I'm still working it out, Mr Speaker. I'm still working it out, Mr Speaker. But what I did know about what was going on is it was important. It really did matter. And in fact, it inspired me to want to be part of this place in the future. What has happened down at that Old Parliament House is worth celebrating, and it will be a true honour to be sitting there. I'm sure it will be a very civil question time, but an important event. Maybe it won't. I'm being told by the manager of opposition business. I'd ask the members of the Joint Select Committee one thing, though, which is to ensure that our national anthem is sung at the event. And that didn't happen at the Australian War Memorial recently. It is important at these events. This matters. This matters. And it is crucial that that occurs. But it is an important commemoration, and on behalf of the Coalition, I support the proposed resolution. It is a big issue. I will take that interjection. It really does matter. I do support this resolution. It's important to be bipartisan and important we work together to make it a great event.
Authorised by Angus Taylor MP, Liberal Party, Camden.